YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Have I managed to edit this together? If you're watching it, then yes. Now today, it's been a very special week, really, this whole week for fans of Daleks, because after thinking forever that we would never see a movie Dalek in the 5-inch scale, suddenly, we didn't find this out this week, but suddenly a couple of weeks ago, we learned that there was going to be one. In fact, there was going to be two. They'd be the same as each other, but we get two of them, unless, we bought more than one pack, in which case we get 4, 6, however greedy you're feeling. And that was great. That's like the best news ever. Of course, over the course of lockdown, as I said in my last video, I spent the whole time making my own movie Dalek. This is not in the 5-inch scale, this is roughly 1/8 scale. But now we have the character options version. So the question is, which of them is better? Which Dalek is the question isn't really which is better, it's how do these Daleks compare? What are my thoughts on characters' attempt at making a movie Dalek? It's not a movie Dalek, it's a guest Dalek from The Chase. And my attempt at making categorically a movie Dalek. Well, to answer that, I'm going to take a little look at both of these Daleks, hopefully in slightly better lighting than this, and just see how the two compare against each other, which things I think I did better, and which things I think the character options one did better.
You'll hurt my feelings!
So here we are in the kitchen. We've traded in the bad lighting and alright sound for not great sound and better lighting. And it's a trade-off. So here we have my 4 movie-style Daleks. We have, on the edges, the 2 new character options ones. Over here, we have the one that I made. And over here we have the Chase Guard Talkie Toaster Dalek that was exclusive to Forbidden Planet like 7 years ago. So obviously there's 2 of these, so I'll put this guy at the back over here for just now, just to give him more space. And for the time being, we'll just put this one off to the side. I just love this visual is, the aesthetic, I love it. So the question we're asking ourselves is, out of these 2 Daleks, which is better? What are the pros and cons of each Dalek relative to each other? I think I'm just going to take the camera angle up slightly so we can have a bit of a closer look at them. I'm quite low to the ground. So join me after a slight camera adjustment. I am available for cinematography if you want me. What are these? These must be the details. So first of all, I want to look at the details. Now, both Daleks, they have all the characteristics you'd expect of a Dalek. My one has a few points that this one doesn't have. First of all, most obviously, we've got the claw, which is not in focus at all. Everything's focused far away. We've got the claw, which is also extendable, which is obviously I don't think that's really possible on so small a scale. That's the biggest thing. We also, however, have these little riveted panels at the front and also the riveted panels at the back, which is present on the movie Daleks, and I think I'm pretty sure they're not on the television Daleks. They're not on the models, because this model it's just the same one that was made as the 60s Dalek from the TV series. So obviously doesn't have that feature. Other features that my Dalek, this very subtle things, the neck rings have a very steep slope on with the along here. It's a very steep slope. It doesn't on these ones, like the TV style ones, it's quite a shallow. It goes in at a shallower angle, so it sticks out further, and it's a shallower slope. That's very subtle. Also, the gun boxes on mine are flat and parallel to the ground. On the TV style one, they point upwards slightly. This is a simplification of the process by Shawcraft when they made the movie, just to speed up the process. They had to make like 8, 9 Daleks. So they changed a few of the techniques to make it a bit easier, a bit more efficient to make these Daleks. So that's why the gun box is like that. Obviously, I would not ever expect the character options ones to have the gun box, flat gun box, or the differently shaped neck rings, because it's such a subtle thing. Unless someone points it out to you, you're not going to notice. I don't think so. Most people, I don't think I'd have noticed it if it hadn't been pointed out to me. I did notice it because it was pointed out to me. But I think that, you know, that's a very subtle thing. So detail-wise, this one has a few edges over this one in terms of some of these subtle things. One place that this Dalek wins, and we've seen it, it's not going to, I don't have an autofocus, so we're not, unfortunately, you're just going to have to take, well, you've seen pictures. The lights are just so accurate. They're super duper accurate to what they're supposed to be like. They've got the little textures, they're the right shape, the right height, they've got the flat tops. These are really realistic. The only new piece we've got on these Daleks is the lights, and they're very accurate to what was seen in the movies, and if we had higher quality images of them in the TV series. The lights on this Dalek, as I think I mentioned before in the previous video, they are LEDs because the lights that come with it were missing. I wasn't going to get them elsewhere second hand, that just wasn't going to happen. So I bought some LEDs that were about the right size, I stuck them on, and they look about right, they're close enough. But they're smooth, the top's rounded, they've got this kind of little lip around them that doesn't quite go all the way around. It's not a perfect match, but it's not terrible, it's alright. That's the main point, detail-wise, where this one's let down. The other thing that lets this one down, well, there's a few things that all source from the same thing. When this Dalek was given to me, it had been put together by someone who wasn't very good at making models. It's a model kit Dalek. The previous owner wasn't very good at putting together model kits. It was then dismantled and reassembled by someone else who's even worse at building models. So I had no idea how to do anything. I was making it up as I went along, I wasn't very good at it, and I made some mistakes. The gun, to be honest, I think I did as good a job on the gun as anyone could have given the circumstances, because I had to replace all the spokes on it, and a lot of bits were broken. It turned out alright, but it's not perfect. It's actually, I would say it's probably better. This is they've gone with the closest gun that they have, which is the 1980s, late 80s Remembrance style gun, which, fine. I think the gun should be slightly bigger in relative to the Dalek, so I think maybe mine's is better, but it's also untidier. You'll notice these rings, the bottom ring comes up as it goes backwards. This space gets narrower, moving from front to back. That's just because I glued it down badly. I'm not naturally good at this. But do you know which other Dalek has squint shoulder slats? The ones in the movie, like at least 2 of them have squint slats. I can live with that. The other thing that my one is slightly let down by is I didn't do a great job of sticking the skirt together. It overlapped here and I had to it comes up and then it goes in, and nothing quite lines up very well. It's alright, but it's not perfect. There's a few issues with that. So in that sense, this one obviously is a mass-produced toy. All the edges are regular. It fits the exact shape that you'd expect a toy Dalek to be, because it's manufactured from a mould and it's not stuck together from 100 different bits. So obviously in that sense, this Dalek is the superior Dalek, because I quite like holding it like that. It just looks like they're the same size. Yeah, this one wins out slightly in terms of being more competently put together, because it's put together in a factory. Colorina calling chat! Now the paint applications and the colour is, I think, possibly the most interesting thing about the differences here. On camera, actually, this looks spot on. In person, I would say, out of the two, I have gotten the better colour for the domes and the hemispheres. I think that is just slightly closer. It looks even more so in person, because this is slightly green and this is slightly purple, and I think that looks better to my eye. I think that's more correct. On camera, there's less difference between the two of them, but I would say that my colour for the head and the hemispheres is closer to what I think the colour should be. Obviously, it's slightly up for debate. There's not a lot of very good quality colour pictures that, you know, you can 100% calibrate the colour levels, you know, there's no way to know, but I think that that's better. I will say though, this is a lot better than that. That's a very unappealing shade of blue. I was always slightly disappointed by the colour of the blue on this one. It just didn't quite do it for me. So yeah, blue, I think this is better. Both of us, I will add, this is a colour and a detail, painted the pivot ring on the eye stalk to match the dome, which is correct. I took the time to check all the details before I made my one. The original one, they didn't do that, it's just silver. So that's a nice little upgrade that they've managed to do. In terms of the other colours, I think almost everything they've done beats my one. The silver, you can kind of see on camera that this one, it's a slightly bluish silver, whereas mine, I've gone with just silver. I think this would have looked nicer if it had a hint of blue in the silver, but at the same time, I think this one's more metallic than this one. On camera, it's not as obvious, but I think the metallicness of this, the colour of that would have been just perfect. So in terms of the silver, I think this one wins it out for me slightly, but it's very marginal. The gold of the bands, again, mine is a lot more metallic. This is really, it's almost just a yellow. And it looks great. It's a really eye-catching colour. It looks fantastic in sort of comparison with the other colours. But I think the metallicness of mine, I like a little bit more. Again, this one is kind of letting the side down because it's a very bland, muted gold. It's and very, very sloppily painted on my own. I don't know if that'll show up on camera. But I would say that my gold, I think I like slightly more than that gold. But I think that one looks better with these colours. So that's good. The colour of the bases, this is where the biggest difference is, and it's very hard for me to say what colour is correct. My one, it's definitely too dark, and considering this is a greener shade of blue than this is blue, this is slightly green blue. This one is blue tending almost to purple, and this is blue with a slight hint of green in it. I think that the correct colour is somewhere in between these two. I would say it's probably closer to this colour than it is to this colour. So I will give it to them that their blue for the base is slightly closer than mine, but I would say neither of them are spot on. I think the correct colour is somewhere in between. So, I mean, that's all the colours. The other thing that I find interesting, I didn't really notice this until I started seeing people's own pictures of these, is that they've painted the neck rings plain silver, and it's not the same shade of silver as the body. And that, I've not had the chance to really look and see if that's correct. As far as I'm aware, I didn't know that that was a thing. I can't say categorically it's not, but I've not done that. Although interestingly, when I was making this Dalek was sprayed silver 3 times. I sprayed it silver once, then I painted this on and I made a mess and I ruined the paint there, and I didn't have any silver left to respray it, so I had to get another can of silver, but it was a different silver, and I sprayed it and it was really dull and dark and matte, but I didn't redo the neck rings. I was thinking I'll maybe just leave it like that, but when I saw the neck rings compared to the body, that was a shinier, lighter silver, that was a darker, more sort of duller silver, and it didn't look right to me, so I spent another £15 getting another can of this silver in and respraying it. So it's interesting to me after all that the neck rings on this are shinier and lighter a colour. So that is that correct? I really don't know. The only other colours worth mentioning is the eye stalk rings. Now, I based mine on the pictures that were available and kind of on this one. It's a very pastel blue on this one. I've given it a very pastel blue here. This one, it's quite a sort of jaunty, colourful blue, and as far as I'm aware, it should be a pastel-y blue, so unless I'm presented with evidence otherwise, I'm going to say that this shade of blue, I think I got the best. Out of the three, I think that's the best. But, I mean, really, this is all very subjective. The colours, I will also say the paint applications on the proper ones are much better than anything I could do. It doesn't show up on camera that much, but there's a sloppy bit there where the glue messed up. There's a bit here where I split it when I was putting the bumps on, and then I had to re-glue it, and that messed up the paint. I'm not. There's a messy bit of paint there. I'm not great at it. I didn't do a very good job of painting the iris in on the eye. Painting is not my forte. So character options do win on the paint application quality. But yeah, that's what the Daleks are like. My colour-wise, I think I've got the better of that, and slightly better of that, but with and better on the eye rings. But the gold is better only with the note that looks better with these colours. I think they've gotten better colour with the base, a better colour with the silver, and detail-wise, the lights are better. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say about the Dalek competition. Is there a clear winner? Let's conclude.
And now the story continues.
So, to conclude after all of that, do I think that one of these is better than the other? Well, obviously this is bigger. This is a display piece. This has a lot of sentimental value because I made it. This is a wonderful thing that I never thought I'd see. I don't think that one of these is inherently better than the other. This is better made, and this is bigger. They're both things are great for what they are. I'm really happy to have all of them. Altior is a wonderful, wonderful person for giving these to us. I think every fan is super happy about it. I will say categorically that this is my least favourite movie Dalek, which is astonishing because when I got this is the best thing ever. But now, in comparison to the other movie boys, it just falls a little short. It's still wonderful. I still love it, but it is by default my least favourite movie Dalek. I hope you enjoyed this little analysis. Did you get these Daleks? If not, you're probably too late by now, because by the time this gets edited, it'll probably be like next week, and they'll all be sold out. We're limited to 5,000 boxes, 5,000 of this. So that's 10,000. Somewhere on this planet there are 10,000 Daleks. But yeah, if you've not got them already, you better get a move on, because once they're gone, they're not making more. So yeah, this is an unusually, it's very close to a figure review for me. But I just wanted to talk about this specifically because I made one myself. I feel like I have a horse in the race. Is that the saying? Is it a dog? I don't know. I have neither a horse nor a dog, and I'm terrible at racing. So anyway, that's enough for me. Hopefully I've kept this brief enough that you've not gotten bored. But thank you for watching, and have a nice day.
I don't pay for buses because I use a bike. A bike. A bike. Because I use a bike.